Welcome class back to Chapter 5, If Statements. In this second video, we'll cover our last objectives of if statements, if-else statements, if-elif-else chain, using if statements with lists, and lastly, we'll look at styling your if statements. So we first look at the section Simple If Statements. If conditional test, do something when condition is true. So if this condition evaluates to true, we do what's indented as lines underneath that if condition. So our example here is age is 19. If age is greater than or equal to 18, so if 19 is greater than or equal to 18, do these two indented statements that follow. So same code here. We see 19 greater than or equal to 18, and then these two print statements are executed. Next, we look at the if-else statements. With else, it tells us that there's a false side. So if conditional test is true, do something. Else, if that conditional test is not true, do something. So here we have an else side of things, so that when the age is, say, 17 is not greater than or equal to 18, then we'll execute these two statements. So let's go ahead and add these in and change our age to 17 and run it. And so now we have a false side. If-elif-else chain brings in more than one if. So if true, false. So if age is less than 4, we do this. Elif age is less than 18, we do this. Else, if neither of these conditions are true, we have false, and we do this. So let's look at amusement park with this one. So this one should, I'm going to change this back to the age that they had. So this one should bring in our second test, our elif age less than 18, because yes, 17 is not less than 4, but 17 is less than 18. Okay, and if we were to increase that, let me run it first. If I increase that to 19, the false else comes in. Refactored code. So we can take this code that we see here and we can refactor it. So for example, we could set a variable that would be equal to the price based on the if conditions and the else, and then have an output statement here at the bottom that would actually print out that variable. So I'm going to go ahead and bring that print statement, and I'm going to bring that all together here. Your admission cost is $, and then we're going to create this variable, price. Okay, so instead of having these individual here, we can just say price is equal to 0. Price is equal to 25. Otherwise, your price is 40. Okay. So with age being 19, we jump into the 40. Again, if we jump this back, we've got our 25. And if we have a little toddler, they come in for 0. Okay, so that's what we call refactored code. It's taking existing code that already functions, but writing it in a more efficient way, a better practice way. Okay, so you'll see that happen quite often through the text where we bring in refactored code. Another elif condition, so you can have as many of these elif conditions as you need. So as you go ahead and plan through, you might be breaking out more age groups. So let's jump back here so I can get that. So less than 65. So I'll just copy these two lines. So less than 65. So let's just say this person is 45. Oh, I didn't grab the price. Oh, they have different prices. Well, let's just assume that this over 65 is going to get in for cheaper. Okay, and run that. Okay, so admission costs at 45 years of age comes into here. Now let's just say that they were 65. 65 jumps into the $10 range because it's not less than or equal to, so once 65 we jump into the else. So as many ELIF conditions as you need. Now the else block is not required, so you could have true statement, a true statement, a true statement, a true statement, and never need a false side of things. So this one says 4, 18, 65, and then instead of having the else, we say greater than or equal to 65. So we'll just change this to ELIF age greater than or equal to 65. Leave it, same condition. Again, if we jump this back down to 45, we got our $40. If we jump this up to 75, we're back into our last ELIF. So remember, else blocks are not required. Testing multiple conditions. So we can have more than one if. We don't have to have the ELIF situation. So if we were to do this in an ELIF situation, it would say if mushrooms and requested toppings, print. ELIF pepperoni and requested toppings, print. ELIF extra cheese. It would only jump down into that very first one. Okay, so if ELIF says if this condition or this condition or this condition, where in how we have it structured here with multiple conditions, it said if mushrooms and pepperoni and extra cheese, because it's allowing us to test each one of these individually. Okay, so ELIFs is like the or. If this condition is true, or this condition is true, or this condition is true. But as soon as one becomes true, that's the branch that we go into. This right here is like allowing us to go into multiple true conditions. So toppings. So if mushrooms and requested toppings, yes, it's there. Pepperoni, however, is not there, so this condition never gets executed. So the statement on line 6 never executes because this evaluated to false. And then if extra cheese, that evaluated to true, so we're adding extra cheese. And then this one is outside of the if structure, so that just executes upon these being finished. Testing multiple conditions using if, ELIF. You have more than one test, use a series of if statements. So if mushrooms in requested toppings, add mushrooms. ELIF pepperoni in requested, add pepperoni. Okay, so let's go see how this will give us our results. Okay, so this is, just want to make sure that I'm on the right page, coding the right. So this is top of page 84. So ELIF, ELIF. Okay, so just adding mushrooms. Okay, so this is the only condition that evaluated to be true, not necessarily, but that's the first condition that evaluated to be true. Okay, so mushrooms, so then it went in here, and then it ignores the rest of the structure. Where when we had it this way, it was a series of 3 different tests, not a one branch of tests. So that's why mushrooms was the only output here. So again, if this one, or this one, or this one, but again, the first one that becomes true is the one that executes. Where here, we have 3 separate testing situations. This one is not connected to this one. This one is not connected to this one. Okay, it only gets connected when we start throwing in ELIFs and else's. So what can you do with lists when you incorporate if statements. You can watch for special values that need to be treated differently than other values in the list. You can manage changing conditions efficiently, such as the availability of certain items. So let's jump back into our toppings example and use a for statement, and then we're going to build in a if statement into it. So requested toppings, mushrooms, we're going to add another value of green peppers, and then we're going to update code on page 86. So for requested topping in requested toppings, so we're iterating through the list. We're going to go ahead and print out using an F string, adding requested topping. Okay, and then we'll keep that last line of output. So adding mushrooms, adding green peppers, adding extra cheese, so iterating through our list. Now we could further put in tests to see if something is true. So if requested topping is equal to green peppers, print, sorry, we are out. Else, print add requesting topping. Okay, so adding mushrooms, sorry we're out of green peppers, adding extra cheese is your results. Okay, checking that a list is not empty. So we can have an empty list, and we talked about lists in chapter 4 and how sometimes it's appropriate that our list be empty. So when a user starts a game, maybe there's no scores, and then all of a sudden scores start being added to top underscore scores, for example. So here we have requested toppings, and then we iterate through to see if there's actually values there. So it says if requested toppings, okay, so if this is true, then we come in here and we start adding our toppings. Else we say, are you sure you want a plain pizza? So this actually should result to, are you sure you want a plain pizza, because we have no toppings in our list. So therefore this can't evaluate to be true. So requested toppings, if requested toppings then we need to go ahead and indent. We'll take this back out, delete that. So just our 4. We're going to move this up. Else we say print are you sure you want a plain pizza? Okay, so falls down into the else because we have no toppings. Now we're going to put them back in there. And run it. We're adding pepperoni, we're adding sausage, and finish making our pizza. Okay, using multiple lists. So we have 2 lists available toppings and then our requested toppings. So for requested toppings, so for mushrooms, okay, or for the, for the value, so we're iterating through requested toppings here. Then we say if requested topping, so if mushrooms is in available toppings, then we can print this, else we don't have that. So let's go ahead and establish this code. So we've got requested toppings. I might not put as many in the list just for typing time. So available toppings. Okay, I'll just do those right there, and then the requested toppings of pepperoni and sausage. So for requested topping in, I'm just going to copy this. If requested topping in available toppings. If requested topping in available toppings, print add. So then we take this back out, pull that back up, else is here, print is there, and then lastly we have our print statement here outside of our for structure. So for requested topping and requested toppings, if that requested topping, see, and make sure that we have that correct, so not the list itself. If requested topping in available toppings, print adding, else sorry, we don't have, and I gotta put an F string in here, so bear with me. Okay, so adding pepperoni, adding sausage, because those were the two that were in both lists. Okay. What if we were to change this to green peppers and pineapple? Okay, sorry we don't have green peppers and we don't have pineapple. And then maybe this finished making your pizza should be not there. Okay, so they're just having a cheese pizza when it comes to how this code is structured. So you might have a better place to put that print statement. Last thing that we're going to talk about is styling your if statements. So PEP 8 recommendation is to use a single space around your comparison operators. So you recommend to have a space and a space behind your operator. So a space before and a space after. Of course, again, that's a recommendation. You don't always need to follow it, but it's it's very helpful to actually go ahead and read the code in that way. So let's go ahead and look at your labs for this video. And there's 3 of them. So on page 85, 5-6, stages of life, write an if-else chain that determines a person's stage of life. So this is very much like amusement park, where we had the different ages. So 2 years old, then the next one is if the person is at least 2 years old but less than 4. Okay, so less than 4 could be our condition there. The other one is less than 13, less than 20, less than 65, and then 65 equal to 65 or greater than for the next one. So again, much like your amusement park example, jumping to page 89, checking usernames, do the following to create a program that simulates how websites ensure that everyone has a unique username. List of 5 or more usernames called current users. So create a list called current users, store 5 usernames in it. Make another list called new users. Make sure one or two of the new usernames are also in current users. So this was very much like our toppings example. Loop through new users to see if the username has already been taken, is basically what bullet 3 says. Make sure your comparison is case insensitive. If John has been used, John should not be accepted. To do this, you'll need to make a copy of your current users containing the lowercase version of all existing users. Okay, so again, to do this, you'll need to make a copy of your current users containing the lowercase versions of all the existing users. And so you'll be iterating through that list, comparing the two. Okay, ordinal numbers. Ordinal numbers indicate their position in the list, meaning first, second, third, and so on. So store the numbers 1 through 9 in a list and then loop through the list and then use the if condition. So first ends in ST, and then we have second in ND, third with RD, and then it's fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and they're all THs. So hopefully that will help you structure your if, elif chain. So if you have any questions on any of the labs or any of the examples that we went through in the second part of Chapter 5, please don't hesitate to send me that email. Thank you.